Hey everyone, Matt here from Ducks Running. Today we're going to do a 100-mile review of the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2. So this is Saucony's premium super racing shoe. It is one of the first shoes that we've seen that debuts full length and full height Incrediron midsole, which is the softest thing I've ever put on my feet. Very different than the Endorphin Trainer, which has half Incrediron and half of their traditional EVA foam, which is not really EVA, it's a blend, but that was more balanced. This is just, you want the max amount of softness. This is the softest thing on the market. I thought things like the New Balance 1080 was soft. This makes that shoe look firm, and it's a soft shoe. So when I originally reviewed this, we have a written review up. I had a good number of miles at that time. We did a comparison review from version 2 versus version 1. Version 1 was a favorite. Stable neutral, really, really snappy shoe, a little bit firmer than a lot of super shoes. This went the exact opposite direction. Not stable neutral, very soft, very like just a completely different ride. And so even though it didn't really match my mechanics, I kept running in it, and I'll explain why in just a second, partially because I wanted to see how it wore over time, because version 1 did not wear very well. I ripped things off really, really quickly, and I was always afraid to get more miles on it because I also wanted to save it for races and race a lot in version 1. So now version 2, I don't think I can race in, but I'm going to explain why. But in this review, I'm going to be more specific because usually I go off on a tangent like I'm doing right now and talk about a full review. That stuff's already up there. So let's talk about how this thing has worn over 100 miles, what the durability is like, and whether you should even consider this shoe. So let's start off with specs as always in my men's size 10. So this comes in at 7.7 ounces or about 218 grams. So not the lightest shoe on the market, kind of sits more in that Alpha Fly on Cloud Bloom Echo Strike-ish area. Not with some of the super light ones that have come out, but that's not what the purpose of this thing is. Stack height wise, coming in at 39.5 in the heel, 31.5 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop, a little change because of how incredibly soft, no pun intended, this midsole is. And the first thing I want to talk about is how has the midsole done over time. And to be honest, when I first put this shoe on, it was so soft, I was really afraid I couldn't run in it. It's the softest shoe I've ever felt. It makes some of the earlier versions of the Adidas Adizero Prime X seem stable. Even though it's not that tall, it wobbles quite a bit. And what I found when I was running more in it, my hip muscles really tightened up. Ironically, I need some medial stability. This huge cutout here did drive me a little bit lateral, which was okay at first. And the sidewalls would do a little bit, but the foam's so soft, those don't really work that well. My hip had to work really, really hard. So if you have foot and ankle stuff, you might be able to tolerate this a little bit. I kind of doubt it, but it's those with hip instabilities. You better make sure your hips are really strong because you're basically on a soft, unstable surface. So you got to make sure you have really, really good hip strength. Now, over time, the midsole has actually firmed out just a little bit. I really like this shoe better at 100 miles than when I was first running it, just because it's compressed a little bit firmer. It's still insanely soft, but it's not nearly as unstable as it was when I first put it on. Does it still have some bounce? Yes. Actually, it feels a little bit more responsive now than it did in the beginning. So in the beginning, it just felt like I compressed the shoe, it rolled forward, but I didn't get a lot of bounce out of it. As the shoe has firmed up a little bit, I'm actually getting more bounce out of it, and I'm appreciating it more, although to me, the midsole doesn't respond fast enough for me to want to go race in it. If this shoe has really functioned, it's going to be best for those that just want the softest shoe possible for longer distance races, like half marathon. I cannot get this shoe to turn over quick. If I'm trying to do 5K pace or below, I can't get it to move that quick. If I'm doing higher, like threshold, tempo run, longer efforts, that feels really, really good in this shoe. And what I've used it for probably the most is I like doing a second threshold workout. If I've done a workout in the morning, I want to get a little bit more in there, this is the go-to shoe to go, hey, I'm going to do a second workout. My body's trash. I don't want my foot and ankle to have to do that much. So I'm just going to try to get some bounce out of this thing and get through a workout. So it's done really, really well for that. I have also used this for easy runs, and you're welcome to make fun of me because I generally tell people don't do easy runs in super shoes, but I have totally done a lot of in this stuff because give me a break. I push a stroller with a 30-pound child in it, which makes it like I'm pushing 55 pounds all the time. So if I use a super shoe for occasional easy run, don't judge me. I was wrong. Okay, so that's the other thing where it's been able to get through. So I think this shoe may actually work for people that are running at slower paces, just because it is so soft and cushioned. It's not going to be as aggressive and feel as stiff, which it doesn't because the foam really compresses. That said, low toe spring. So if you do need a shoe that has some stiffness, there's no flexibility to shoe because there is a full-length carbon fiber plate. So midsole firms up a little bit, but it doesn't get mushy. It firms, like it is originally, it firms up and actually it's a little bit more responsive, but still better for longer distances. Now, before I talk about stability and that stuff and dive in a little bit more, I do want to talk about durability because by some miracle, this thing is still intact. I thought for sure I was going to rip through this outsole, and I have some hypotheses on this, but this is still intact. This is all the wear there really is at 100 miles. And I think really it's the midsole is so soft that I tend to land not as hard in this, because if I land too hard, it's gonna, I'm gonna wobble all over the place. So I actually have found my cadence increases in this, and I tend to land lighter, at least it feels like it, because I just can't smush this shoe because it's too unstable. The other piece is the place where I normally land, there's nothing here. So I do think instead of ripping this off, there's nothing for me to get there. So it's actually handled really well. So I think for some people, the outsole is actually going to work well. It's going to work a lot better than the original version, which was honestly too thin and just came off super easy. So the outsole rubber is really effective here and holds on really well. And this is a miracle that this has lasted this long. Your mileage may vary, but I did not take it off and it's handled super well. And this outsole is, again, durable. Now, from a stability standpoint, I still don't think, like I said earlier, this is going to be a shoe for anybody with stability needs. You need to have stable mechanics, even when it firms up, to be able to handle this thing, just because it wobbles in all directions. If you have a history of lateral ankle sprains, absolutely this is not going to be a good shoe. If you have severe excessive pronation, that you have trouble controlling, this is not going to be a shoe. This is going to be for people who have very, very good ankle and hip control and really do well in soft shoes. Other people, not so much. It's like running on a soft, unstable cloud. Now, from the upper is actually doing really well. I did not like this upper initially because it's pretty narrow, especially the toe box. The first version was a little bit wider. This toe guard really narrows this stuff. So people with narrower feet, you're going to like this shoe. People who want a wide toe box, it's not the best. It's definitely snug through here and was much more uncomfortable than I thought. So longer miles, I have gotten some chafing here. So for me, this is not a marathon shoe. In fact, going back to stability, I really struggle to do longer runs in this shoe. And it is a longer run shoe. It's not meant to go super duper 5K mile fast. It's meant for people with stable mechanics that can handle long mileage. But trying to get through long runs in this shoe, while the foam feels good underfoot, by the end, my hip, my ankle, they are screaming. It's like they're working so hard to keep stable, but it's really meant for longer distances, so I'm not fully getting the full use out of the shoe. But those with narrower feet are going to do better because that's how this toe box fits. The midfoot does have some stretch to it, which is really, really nice. So there's a little bit more accommodating fit in the midfoot. You will have to tie the laces down, and this tongue is connected, so if you don't lay it down carefully, it does fold on itself, so watch out because that has caused some blistering for me. And so again, I'm having some issues with the upper a little bit. It's not terrible, it's not great either, but I do want to give credit to the heel because this has no heel counter, and there's a lot of heel counters coming into shoes right now. It is nice and rounded. I don't like that it tapers in a little bit because that pushes a little bit on my Achilles, but luckily it's so flexible, it has been an issue. So if you have a Haglund deformity or issues with heel sensitivity, this shoe is actually great just because there's no padding here, and it actually still holds onto your heel really, really well. Now, I will warn you, for those people with Achilles tendinopathy kind of issues, this is going to wobble all over the place. So if you get a little excessive heel motion, that might be irritating. But if it's just from pressure, this is going to be a really great option if you want the softest thing possible, if you have stable mechanics and don't want a heel counter. So overall, surprisingly, it has worn fairly well. I like it better now than when I first ran in it just because it was so mushy soft. Yes, does it lose some of the bounce? Yes, but when the midsole compresses, it gets just a little bit better, in my opinion. But if you want that high bounce, super soft ride, it's gonna last you in the realm of about 75 to 100 miles, and it is starting to lose some of that super soft feeling. So From that perspective, not the most durable thing in terms of the midsole because everything's going to firm out over time. But to me, it's still got a good amount of bounce. The bounce feels better, in my opinion, as opposed to just being mushy soft. And the outsole is holding up super well thanks to having much more thick outsole than a lot of shoes. So I'm really curious to know what you all think about this shoe. I'm semi-impressed. It's not something I would ever race in because it just doesn't fit in the categories I would want, and it is not stable enough for me. I want to know what you all have experienced with this. I also want to know durability. I normally destroy shoes, and it's really weird that I haven't ripped this apart. So let me know what your thoughts on that. Let me know what your thoughts on the upper is and what you think of Incrediron. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this. I have seen photos. I don't have a pair of the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5, which apparently has Power Run HG in it as well, and Power Run PB in it, so no Incrediron there. So I'm just curious to see what Saucony does with this midsole. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know your experiences. This has been out for a while. Do you like it? Is it working for you? Have you raced in it? What do you think about it over longer distances? I'm really curious to know because I want everybody to share, because the whole purpose of this and doing these reviews isn't to sell you a product. It's to help you figure out, is something going to work for you or should you move on? And is this going to work for you in a way that's going to either keep you healthy or not? And of course, we want you to stay healthy because the whole purpose of this is to help educate you, help you figure out what works for you, and keep you healthy on the roads.